What's going on, NRW crew? Nerds rule the world, and we are bringing you the NEW, and this is a review of Utopia, episode 4 of season 1. And I'm pausing. I'm saying everything very slowly because this episode was wild. We also do a little show called What the Fuck, and there is a lot of what the fucks in this episode.
True. Crazy
ass episode. Cool. First of all, before I get into that, I'm Glenn Lawrence, Level Up Comedy. You know the name, you know the game. And I am joined by my boy
Kuya P. What's up?
Kuya P. Kuya P in the building. Brother. I know he's going to get closer to that microphone so we can hear that.
You, brother. I miss you.
Beautiful, sexy voice. Well. What's going on, man?
I'm good, bro. Great to see you. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be back. One of our favorite shows. Still miss Loy. Loy's still doing his thing in Vegas, moving around, but he'll be back again. He promises. We hope, right?
Yeah, Loy's taking his time counting those votes out in Nevada as well. So he hasn't been back.
I hope he's doing something productive since he's not here. So you better be counting them votes, bruh.
That's what he's doing. He's out there counting for us. Yeah. But we did not count on Utopia getting this wild. No. Episode 4 was just kind of crazy. So let's go through it. The episode starts off with Ian and Jessica. They're digging a hole for Artemis to bury her after she was kind of strangled out by Jessica Hyde. And they have their little moment, just burying her. And I feel like it brought them closer together. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I was kind of surprised by that since they didn't bury the homegirl. She's still in the house. She just got the body's been in the house for like forever, but yet you're going to bury Artemis? Like favoritism? Like,
right. Like, what's going on? But well, so once they get back home, they start they're talking to everybody, and there's kind of an argument there, and it is stopped when they figure out that Becky and Wilson have found Grant. So it's like, oh shit, we found Grant, and Grant has Utopia. So there's a kind of a standoff, a little Mexican standoff with Grant and Jessica Hyde, where they both have pieces of the Utopia manuscript, and they're arguing about it. And she has a real cool kind of heart-to-heart moment with Grant where it's like, look, I'm you. I was a little kid on the run. You know what I'm saying? You're the little kid who found it. We should team up and, figure this thing out. Yeah. And that kind of diffuses the situation. What did you think about that kind of opening, going from burying Artemis to in the house again with homegirl laying on the ground and then Grant in the fight?
I thought it was a cool, but just weird because, again, like, you left the other body, but yet you're burying Artemis. And I'm assuming because she was kind of like the mother figure, the only real mother figure that she had in her life besides, her father. Because we still don't really know about like the actual mother in her life, other than the father that got burnt or whatever that we learned in the last episode. So you buried Artemis, but you didn't bury this other chick who's just lying in the house. And then, so then they get to the house, and with Grant, I thought it was cool interaction between the two of them. And it made sense that, she's been on the run and this kid's on the run. Like you said, I thought it was cool. So I'm still cool with this episode so far. And then it gets even more weird, but I'll let you continue.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they figure it out. They get they figure out some clues in there, and then they get a phone number from one of the clues. They make the call, and then from that call, it's like they find out that there's somebody there from some mysterious government department, and they gotta hightail it out of there. So Jessica Hyde does what she does best. She's like, burn it all to the ground and let's keep it moving. At which point the team is like, yo, what about our friend who's here? We can't just burn her. That would kind of be wrong. And Jessica's like, you and your feelings. She gives him the eye roll. What did you think about that moment, bro?
Just wild, yo. Like, she is, like we know from the opening of last episode, with her just kind of leg up, pissing, pointing the gun at the cats. She just doesn't give a fuck. And I love that about her. But then also it's like, she just, I don't know. I can't put a take on her yet. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll ride. I would, if I was in this situation, I'm gonna ride with this bitch because she crazy. I don't know which way she gonna do. So I just want to be on her good side. And then if I find my opening, I can get the fuck away. I'm gonna get the fuck away. But
But I
I don't know
think
what yeah.
I think we got an idea of kind of where she's coming from, because she said a
Yeah.
little bit about it. It's like, listen, y'all have been in your lives, like, just kind of
Yeah.
like, your little cubicles or your little safe and secure homes or whatever, just reading about the shit that I'm doing, while I've been out here like living it, dodging bullets, dealing with all this stuff. Like, I've had to live like a really gritty life. And in that moment you kind of get it, like, yeah, she's been dealing with a lot that the other group has not dealt with, and it has given her a very hard edge.
Yeah, and I feel it. I like realistic. So like, let's put ourselves, if this really was going down, Glenn, like I would ride with her for a bit, but I would still be questioning every bit. Um, I would ride with her for my own safety because she's a crazy person. But then, then I'd try to understand her. Look, would you do the same, or would you immediately want to flex out of there? Put
I
yourself in
mean,
the situation.
it's really hard to say, you know what I mean? Like, if you're in the situation, but it's very hard to basically to give up your reality. Like their reality was kind of steeped in, oh, we just like comic books, we're collecting, we think this is a conspiracy, blah 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 blah. But the reality isn't her reality, which is like, people are constantly after you. You got to be on the run. You got to be one step ahead of them. You got to be willing to kill anybody. Like, that is not their reality, and
So
they
it
have to
makes it
snap
difficult
out
to
of it.
trust.
Yeah, so they got to kind of trust her. But I mean, and from what they've seen, I feel like Wilson more than anybody understands kind of what they're up against. He's been through it. I guess he doesn't know that his family has all been killed, but he got tortured, and you know what I mean? Like, that'll do something to you. That'll make you believe in what she's telling you, like, yo, shit is real.
Yeah. So yeah, wild.
So it's crazy. And after that scene, they kind of figure out, all right, we got to go meet with this person. We're going to burn down the house, meet with this person. Then we get into the scene in the corporate boardroom, and it just blew me away, because it's like very cold and calculated, talking about something so kind of terrible. They basically are game planning how they're going to stage this manhunt for this like young kid, which basically like pin a murder on him of like other kids. It's like one person in the boardroom like, we can't do this is crazy. And then everybody else just kind of going along with it. And it's like, anybody who's ever been in a meeting before has probably been like, oh, I get it. But usually the stakes aren't as high as death.
Shit was wild, son. Like, complete flip what we were presented with these characters. Well, we saw the flip at the end of last episode, that this medical CEO, and what's the lead actor's name in who's of the company?
John Cusack.
John Cusack. So yeah, we just know that he makes this meat, and he has this multi immigrant family, and he's like this supposed to be this people person, but then here we get flipped on to a whole nother side of this cat, and the whole team. Originally we thought maybe it's just the lead boss CEO cat, but no, it's his whole organization, his board.
Well, I mean, with the boss CEO, you're still kind of figuring out like, oh, is he like, how much of the strings is he pulling? How much does he know? We kind of get an idea because he sits down with Arby, is it?
Yeah, Arby in the last episode.
Yeah. So we get an idea that he's kind of complicit in it. He understands it, but
and
we don't
know
to what extent.
Board, though, his whole team, the guy who played Penguin from Gotham is his like, I don't know,
Kevin, I believe is his name in there.
And I'm seeing here, so I think
I'm sorry, Thomas. Yeah.
So they're family members. Their son is that like his older son or some shit?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So it's a family business of killing people, man. Like, that scene with the boardroom was, I gotta say, I love how they went there. It went dope. Like, we need to do this. And then I had to say though, like, it was a very predominant whiteboard, but the one brother on there, weren't you like, for the brother, like, yo, dog, you ain't gonna say nothing? But then you like, okay, I guess he's in on it too. Like, what? Yeah.
But I mean, it's that whole
usually
thing.
They don't have like POCs in that evil, and You got, I
It
guess.
was hard. It was hard to see, and you're thinking, but it's like, hey, it's kind of what it is. But it was very interesting that she's sitting on the one side of the table all by herself, and then the other
Oh, I
three
didn't notice that.
people are
Yeah,
like on the other side of the table,
the
and she's like the
males and
only voice of
female.
dissent. And Thomas is like, oh, you need to get with the program, and she's just like, no, this is wrong. And sometimes you wonder, like how do these big companies or whatever like do this terrible stuff? And it's like, wasn't there somebody there telling them? And it's like, yeah, there usually is somebody there being the voice of reason telling them, and then that person is usually not listened to. So their plan is to go out and stage a mass shooting, which happens, which they go out there and stage that shit. But in the meantime, we see Jessica, Ian, Becky, and Wilson. They all drive out to go meet this homeless security person with Grant, and then we get that funny little moment where Wilson like jumps out of the car after they're going to meet her because there's possibly a chance that they could be tortured if they're captured by the harvest.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, my hold it to one torture a week, so I'm not going to go with you guys, which I thought was a hilarious moment. What did you think of that?
That was cool. I just remembered going back to our last scene. One of my favorite lines in this particular episode, when the younger Christie's son met up with the board, he was like, "Bunt cake." They had bunt cake there. I'm sorry.
The butt cake.
I laughed.
Is that
It
you
went
know
from
what? It
bunt
is
cake
kind of
to
interesting.
like, hey, let's kill a motherfucker. I was
Right.
like, what?
That's what's interesting about it. You have that juxtaposition between
Yeah.
someone doing something kind of fun and loving cake, but then also being very cool with like committing, an
Yeah.
atrocity, which is like, wow, that's the thing. Some people are very cool with that.
Yeah, so to go, but like you said, yeah, so that was interesting and just dope on Wilson's part. And then yeah, so they chill out while the rest go to abandoned Toys R Us, which made me miss
Yeah.
Toys R Us. That made me sad. I was like, Jeffrey,
Yeah, I used to work at Toys R Us, man. I missed it there. So the wild thing is they go and then they meet the agent who kind of gives them some they're on their way to meet the agent. But meanwhile, while that's happening, we see Michael Stern. He's outside of the big area where all the quarantine is happening.
Yeah.
And he goes to just have like a sit down little breakfast or something, and he sees the town people who are angry. They got their signs. And then he's like, yo, I'm kind of supposed to be in there. And then they're like, yeah, let us give you the rundown or whatever. And then he teams up with them, and then they go to kind of protest. But in the meantime, the corporation kind of has figured out like, oh, this person, we didn't think he was going to go this way. We didn't think he was going to do this. So he's outside, and then they go and get him. They give him his badge. They say they could go in. But he's cool about it, and he's like, listen, parent who misses their kid, you come with me. You're my assistant. You get to see it now. And then he goes inside there, and then we get back. Well, what did you think about that? Break that down for me.
I thought it was dope. I thought it made Rainn Wilson, who the actor of that character, made that character more endearing, that he has compassion for other people. And for me, not having watched The Office and not very familiar with Rainn Wilson's, comedic work, I think he's just an amazing actor. I don't know him for his comedy, but this dramatic stuff, I can't wait to see him do more. I think he's a great actor, and I thought it was good movement of the story with his character. I can't wait to see what he knows more, and with the cure, I guess, the vaccine and all that. So I thought it was good stuff. I was all about that sequence.
So that is cool. And then from there, we get to move on where we actually meet the government agent with Becky and Ian. They go in there, they start to talk to him because Jessica, Wilson, and Grant are staying tucked away, so they don't actually get caught or anything. And they talk about seeing Utopia, and the agent claims that she doesn't think Mr. Rabbit has been doing things, and they kind of talk to each other and break it down and chop it up. What do you think about that scene? The way that it ends is they're like, hey, can you protect us? And the agent's like, nah, I don't think so. Y'all are kind of useless.
I'm like confused. I'm like, it's now, I guess, all of what we've saw thus far leading up. I'm trying to, what the hell? Sorry about that.
Uh-oh. You all right?
Spider Man.
That's not a little rabbit,
bruh. No, you know how like we just got done watching fucking Mandalorian earlier, and
with the
spiders. A fucking spider was crawling on me, bro.
Oh,
but
shit.
I smacked it. It's dead. Let me get this bitch.
That's hilarious.
Fuck, bro.
You okay?
Yeah. I felt something on my leg, and I was like, "What the fuck?" Caught the bitch though. Woo! All right. Where did we cut off, man? I'm sorry.
I just I had thrown it to you about meeting the agent and the agent not saying that there any help.
I'm so confused. So yeah, I'm just with all the storylines that we've been seeing in the lead up and Mr. Rabbit and now getting this information. It was a lot to process for me. So it's like I feel I need to rewatch that particular scene again. Actually, maybe, I don't really need to see the whole episode, but that particular scene just, I don't know. I kind of my mind went this way, went that way because
it was crazy because
this manslaughter thing and I'm the rabbit, but then it's like this whole government conspiracy. It's like I'm trying to tie it all together in my head and it didn't tie.
That one, yeah. Well, I mean, because that one, they talk about Mr. Rabbit and they talk about, after 9/11 and how all this stuff happened and all these conspiracies. And the show is really just kind of based on a lot of conspiracies like coinciding and whatnot. So she kind of explains some of those conspiracies or whatever in that sit down scene, at which point Ian and Becky are like, "Oh, well, can you protect us?" And she's like, "Nah, I think about but it was very interesting how nonchalant she was about just kind of breaking it down to him, even though
they're essentially saying the government's behind everything. It's kind of like how
I don't know.
Organization, this I guess, I don't know if she works with Rabbit.
It sounded like what they were saying was that they had to do bad things to preempt bad things from happening. That's how
I kind of took it that way too.
Yeah, that's how they.
And so I think what's losing me is that are they opposed to Rabbit, and is Rabbit John Cusack or whatever? So they're like the rival. Like, you know what I'm saying? Who it's trying to place the good guys and bad guys. I think
they determined that Mr. Rabbit, John Cusack is Mr. Rabbit is what we are led to believe at this point in the show. That's what
you know what I'm saying? It's like I'm trying to figure out the good guys and bad guys in my head, but it really isn't clear cut like that. Like it seems like this government agency, in order to protect, they have to do bad. You know what I'm saying? Like
I mean, I don't know who they were actually saying is the entity. It just seemed like whoever it was needs to do things to preempt worse things from happening. Yeah. So after they sit down, they they get up, and then finally Michael Stearns, he goes into the thing and he gets to start seeing some of the patients or whatever who have this sickness, and the look that he gave that father to me said, "Oh, like the virus in this kid has surpassed where my vaccine could do anything." That was the look that I got, and that's kind of where that scene ended after he had gained access to the quarantine zone with the parent from the diner.
Yeah, sad. Yeah. But he tried, it showed, he wanted to attempt and help, but yeah, it just kind of I don't think it would have been we still have a lot more show to go. I don't think you want to give hope there at that moment. You want to kind of just show how bad this thing can be. So, it had to go down like that. Very interesting and a wild episode.
Yeah, well, we didn't get to the wildest part, which is the kind of climax of the episode where we see Arby and he's picking a child, and he's giving the child like these fingerprint gloves, and he tells him to go do a certain thing. Basically, the kid goes into the house, he leaves the gun there, and then Arby comes and picks up the rest, and we see him kind of go through and basically we don't get to see all the death that is caused from it, but we hear the gunshots and that he's killed him. And we find out that it's Kiara's house. It's the person and who was, making the big stink in the meetings. That is the one who ends up, being sacrificed or killed. And she knows it immediately. Once she hears the first shot, she's just like, oh man.
But, and then they killed pretty much everybody, but there's the one kid that came out from the side, and then Arby closes the door, and then we don't see him kill it, but we hear it.
And then the little raisins drop, which are kind of a throwback to when he was eating the raisins with Mr. or John Cusack's character.
Lets out a little kind of a scream, right?
A loud scream at the end, which shows that he's been traumatized by having to do these terrible things. So we don't know how that's going to play out. But in this episode, it really got to me. I mean, I know that, in screenwriting and in Hollywood, there's kind of like this big thing where you can't kill dogs and you can't kill kids. And this show is like trying to buck those trends.
Zero fucks
and not caring about it.
It's
a lot to take in, but at the same time, it's like, the gravity of our world, like, is this really what's kind of going on in the morality of people? So, to get to this utopia, are they committing these atrocities?
Real shit. It was a wild episode. I can't wait till this episode 5. I'm all in on this show, man. But this was a wild one, and you just you don't think they can top it after each episode, and they sure do. They give you moments. There's moments in each episode that like sits with you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It drives you to the next episode because they get you. Brilliant writing. I'm still hooked in. A great episode. This was like a real what the fuck, like for real.
Yeah, there's a lot. This one was hard. Like I didn't expect it to hit this hard, but it definitely hit this hard, and I felt a little despair in my heart after watching it. Like, damn, can I continue with this? Do I really want to? Like I thought to myself, do I want to get to Utopia? Like, because maybe I don't want Utopia. This is crazy,
man. Yeah, it was a wild one, bro. Looking forward to the next one.
So I am also looking forward to the next one. Kuya P, tell them where they can find you.
All right. I am at Strange since 1977 and at Temple Far East. One of them is Twitter. One of them is IG. I don't know because I'm old. But you can also find me at the NRW and at No Release Wednesday, which is where you're watching this right now, hopefully. And then over at the Nerds of Color, which is part of our squad. And at Show Pow Show, which is my show that explores Filipino history and culture and all the movers and shakers and all the various industries of Filipino descent. And I do that with the amazing Ates. Shout out to Viva Valentina and Cataphoric. Love y'all.
Hey, and he's showing that love. If you want to show me a little bit of love, Glenn Lawrence, Level Up Comedy, all those fancy things. You can catch me every Wednesday. My Fantasy Wife also doing some chit chatting over there, talking about inane pop culture things as well as sports with Blair Postman, hilarious comedian. We've had fun giving you this review for episode 4, and wow, the road to Utopia is a bumpy one. But we're on it, and we will keep talking about it for you all, for the nerds that rule the world. I am Glenn Lawrence for the NRW. Kuya P, he's out too. Y'all take it easy, and we'll see you episode 5.
All right, y'all. Peace.
No,